here at the refuge there. Ever since I retired, it's been over 18 years now, and I'm kind of a full-time volunteer. I think I'm up over 27,000 hours of volunteer time. They keep track of their volunteer hours quite precisely because they send that report in, and I guess it helps them with their statistics and manpower resources and so forth. Although refuges and our natural resources of that type, the Department of Interior, their financial resources are really down. And right now we only have 2 people, staff people on the refuge. We just lost 2, so we lost half of our staff. So we're really in a world of hurt right now. This way? Yeah. Okay, I want to do my acknowledgements first in case we run out of time. But I certainly want to thank the American Falcon Fund and the American Kestrel Fund for financing part of my expenses for this trip and this opportunity. And also the Friends of the Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge have chimmed up and helped me with some of the expenses too. So really grateful to them to give me this opportunity. And I didn't realize until this morning, but I've never been called a citizen scientist before. I've been called an awful lot of things, but I've never been called a scientist. And then John comes up with senior scientist. So boy, it really makes me feel pretty special to be here today, to be a senior citizen scientist. It's something I never expected to achieve in my lifetime. Kind of a project objectives, or the objectives that I have, because I'm kind of the Lone Ranger on this project. I work with the staffs of the various wildlife management areas in the area there, and the objectives that I have is to try to increase our local population of kestrels, and I think our kestrel population is down 98%, not 88%, but they're really down low. I want to try to educate birders and conservationists in New York State on the demise of the kestrel and how much the decline is and so forth, and also to determine how to increase the success rate of kestrel nestings in our area. The major purposes of attending this symposium are to determine ways to attract nesting kestrels, and fortunately I've been able to learn some things. I'm learning that dry, short vegetation is the right way, and I'm working in a swampy area that has high vegetation, so got some things to work on there. To establish contacts and discuss kestrel habitat and behavior is another reason that I thought was important to attend. And also to learn ways to reverse the population, and I think that's what we all want to learn, how we can reverse this population trend and get this thing leveled out and hopefully get it headed in the other direction. So that may take more than just these 2 days, at least it's a start. I monitor my boxes every 2 weeks, in a 2-week cycle, and I feel by doing it this often I get more accurate data on the kestrels, and also it helps me to control the starlings. In 2 weeks, starlings can build a nest and lay eggs, and they're ready to incubate. They're on stream. By doing it, interrupting that every 2 weeks, I can certainly. I've never had a starling fledge from any one of my boxes since I've taken them over. So I think that's no small accomplishment in our area, because I said we were in a swampy area, a lot of swamps, a lot of moisture, and I think the starlings outnumber the mosquitoes. So we have a lot of starlings there. I clean out the starling nests and put in fresh wood chips each time I find one. I clean out my boxes and put in fresh chips each fall, so they're a fresh start to the fall. And I also recheck those boxes in about March, because we have screech owls. Somebody mentioned screech owls here. We have a lot of screech owls in our area, and I find that they roost in the kestrel boxes in the wintertime. They don't nest there in the summertime. Apparently they find natural cavities, but with the leaves and vegetation being off the trees, we have quite a few great horned owls, and the owls will prey on the smaller owls, and I think that's why they hide in my kestrel boxes. I do not ban chicks or adults at this time. I could. I'm a licensed bander. I also am a permittee on the National Wildlife Refuge's permit. I could ban them. I guess I'm learning this weekend, maybe there are some reasons maybe I should start banning, but I guess until I can convince the management of the refuge that the data that we would gather from the time and expense of this, I need to justify that. So working with the federal government is a little different than working on private lands and other places. You know, there's a lot of rules and regulations and protocol that you have to follow. Starling control might not be quite in this same order, but I do remove all the starling eggs from my boxes. I keep track of how many eggs I remove each year. I also have some other capture programs that I work on. Because you're shuttling the papers there, it's making me nervous. that I work on, that I also capture starlings as well. I trap and dispense all the adults that use my boxes, like other people has mentioned. If a starling is attached to a box, you clean it out, they're just going to come right back. So if they do come back, they pay the price. I attempt to capture as many females as I can. The males are easier to capture if you've captured any starlings, because they're the ones that select the nest site and then try to attract the female. The females are a little tougher to catch, but if you leave the eggs in and don't disturb the nest, if they're brooding, you can catch the female, and then the male will also come in a short period of time afterwards. So I use the banner trap. It's an in-box trap. I have a sample of that in the back there on my display. That's what I use, and if I put that trap in, I always monitor the boxes every 2 or 3 hours, because you could catch a kestrel. I've never trapped a kestrel, but I have caught tree swallows, as we have zillions of tree swallows in this area because the habitat is perfect for them. And then I try to determine ways to discourage starlings from nesting. And some of the things I've tried, I've painted the inside of the box black, I painted the inside of the box white, I've had a deep box, I've had a box that was 3 feet deep, and like the house wren, the starling just filled it up to where it was comfortable and went on to use it. I put mirrors in the box. Starlings like to look at themselves, so that didn't either. I even tried some of my successful kestrel boxes of cleaning the nest material out and putting it into the box to see if it would deter starlings, and to date, nothing has worked. Starlings will nest in anything. So if anybody has any ideas, I'd like to welcome those to know about them. Maybe I'll give them a try. This is the banner in-box trap. The trap is set. You can see this part with the orange dots on here. That part is flips down, and you catch it with this wire here. When the bird flies in, it hits that wire, and the trap flips up, closes the box, and then from the outside of the box, you can see those dots from the outside. This is convenient because you can observe that from a distance, and you can also use binoculars to check that, to see if the trap has been tripped. And this kind of cuts down on the amount of walking and the monitoring time for trapping, because if you trap, you got to be pretty conscientious about checking that trap frequently. You can also move this trap from box to box very easily. There's 2 screws inside the box. I can show that to you out here if anybody's interested. You don't need a box for every trap. You can have a couple of traps and move it from one box to another. All my boxes, I drill holes and put the screws on the inside so they're trap ready. If I get a starling, I get it. So I'm probably more into trapping starlings than I am into producing kestrels. But kind of the history, my history of the kestrel has been, I kind of got interested in 2005. My history has been, when I started to the Wildlife Refuge, I started because of the bluebird. I wanted the bluebird trail. We've established the trail area, got about 150 boxes for bluebirds. Then I moved on to purple martins, and we have about 10 sites of purple martins. We got 177 cavities. Last year we fledged 498 martins, and we banded all those. So with all this banding, all this monitoring and everything, you can see why I'm concerned about problem with the data. I really enjoy aging the chicks. I downloaded the aging chart from the American Kestrel website, and I don't know, that's just a pleasure to me to match up the chick with the pictures and so forth, and encourage anybody else to do that too. That's part of the enjoyment. And I like to see the fledglings grow and develop and finally go out on their own and into the world. I have 7 boxes on the refuge. 6 are mounted on 2-inch round pipe. I just moved one this last month, in fact. I have one with a camera at the visitor center, and this is on a 6x6 pole. That has not been active in 2 years, and we're really desperate to get the Kestrels back there because it's quite attractive in the visitor center. I have 2 boxes that were active in 2016. We had 8 eggs, 5 fledged, and 3 of the eggs were infertile. Had those analyzed by a biologist, and there was no embryo development, so they were obviously infertile eggs. Here's one of my successful sites. You can see they're up on a pole. You can see the short grass, not very short grass, right? No trees around, no perches around. In fact, I put in an artificial perch off to the right. It's an old martin gourd rack with no gourds, and the Kestrels love it. I take that down each fall and put it back up in the spring. The other site that was successful had the 3 eggs in that were infertile. You can see some of the habitat there. Well, there was some mowing done in the back here last year, but that's kind of the general habitat of the whole refuge, and that's probably one of the problems. The vegetation is not short. It is fairly open. We have over 1,100 acres of grasslands. I have 5 boxes on New York State Department of Environmental Education Wildlife Management Areas, and I had 1 box that was successful last year, 5 eggs and 5 fledged. And this box is on the side of the barn and violates the rule of the southeast orientation, faces due north. So I think it depends on your habitat probably. Here's the hole in the side of the barn. Did have the box outside the barn. Honeybees took it over, so we took that down, put a hole in the side of the barn. The box is inside the barn, and I just use a short step ladder here like Tom does. And you can see the excrement from the Kestrels down the side of the box there, so you know that box is successful. I have 1 box on private lands. It has to be some lands that my wife and I own in Pennsylvania. That's mounted on a barn. Here again, faces due west. Successful every year, but it faces right out over a nice farm field. There's power lines there for perching, so it's got a very successful box. Outreach through the refuge, the state conservation area, the New York State Bluebird Society. This gives me an opportunity they are interested in cavity nesting birds, and not just bluebirds, but other cavity nesters, and gives me an outsource to talk to people and spread the word about kestrels and other cavity nesters. And also through our friends group at the refuge, we have various programs, and I'm on the slate to talk about kestrels in just a few weeks here. And anybody that will listen to me, I talk about cavity nesting birds. Stakeholders are pretty much the same, except for the American Kestrel Partnership. And I include myself because I'm a big stakeholder. I do put a lot of resources and time and effort into this, so I appreciate that very much. Future, I've been developing a system to raise and lower my boxes. I'm getting too old. I'm in the senior group now. Can't climb up in ladders anymore. My wife won't let me. So I came up with another system. I have a sample of this out here, an actual sample from one of the boxes that will be going up next couple of weeks on the refuge. But it has a pulley system, and it slides up and down the steel pole. I use steel poles because that's what was there. And I think they're good. The pole is the most important, or most expensive part of the operation. Steel pole costs you $131, but I think it's worth it. The round poles are a lot cheaper than square poles, so, and you have to maintain the orientation, so That's what the contraption on the top is. I have some cams here that kind of cam the box into its final location, so maintain the location. And I have the winch on the bottom to raise and lower it. And this winch has more than one purpose, not just to raise and lower the box, but it's fun. I love to crank that thing up and down. And kids and people that go with me, they love to do it too. So it adds to the enjoyment. So if for nothing else, you had a winch, you had a lot more fun. So, any questions?